When I started this channel, I wanted to be different from other coaster YouTubers, which is exactly why I've started my plan to incorporate my other interests into my coaster videos. Since the debut of Steel Curtain at Kennywood in 2019, I've been surprised to see that no one, to my knowledge, has theorized what other football teams' roller coasters would be. This is the first video in a series I like to call NFL Coaster Concepts, Episode 1, the NFC East. Let's see what coasters the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, and Washington football team will get in NFL Coaster Concepts. Steel Curtain is an S&S hyperlooping coaster themed to the Pittsburgh Steelers football team, specifically their defensive line in the 1970s, which is exactly what inspired me to start this series. Many of these coasters are realistic possibilities for certain parks, and others are high expectations to live up to the magnitude of Steel Curtain. For NFL Coaster Concepts, I have a certain set of criteria. What I took into consideration were team or player nicknames, team colors, proximity to a major amusement park, the park's best fit in their lineup, trends of what kind of rides the park chain is installing, and the best type of coaster for the theme of the ride. I understand that a lot of these concepts could be unrealistic given the legalities of the NFL and big theme park chains, but I'd like to set that aside to establish the NFL coaster concepts which make the most sense for the parks closest to their cities. Let's start with my favorite NFL team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Eagles have had many different nicknames over the years, good and bad, but I figured a great name for an Eagles-themed roller coaster would be Mean Green Flying Machine, which would naturally be a B&M flying coaster. The great thing about this coaster model fitting the Flying Eagle theme is that both of the nearest Pennsylvania parks could both use a flying coaster in their lineups. Granted, they both already have B&M inverts, but so does Six Flags Great Adventure, amongst other Six Flags parks, which have both Batman and Superman clones. Unfortunately for the Eagles, they don't have a true hometown park like the Steelers have with Kennywood, but they do have some relatively close options with Hershey and Dorney. Another problem with this is that Cedar Fair, the company that owns Dorney, has never installed a B&M flyer, but I could definitely see Hershey getting one now that they're working with B&M again with their newest B&M hyper, Candymonium. Another great concept for the Eagles that I had to include in this video was my alternate idea, Weapon X, named after Eagles Hall of Fame safety Brian Dawkins, whose nickname was Weapon X. I think this name would fit perfect for an S&S Axis coaster, but this model would be unlikely at both Hershey and Dorney because neither park has worked with S&S before. However, I thought this one was too cool of a concept not to share, so one can only dream. The next team in the NFC East is the Dallas Cowboys, and although I can't stand this team, I still gave them a pretty cool coaster concept. The Cowboys coaster would be called America's Coaster, which is a play on the Cowboys' nickname of America's Team. I think this coaster would get help from some of that Jerry Jones money and either be an S&S Axis coaster or something similar to Steel Curtain as an S&S Hyperlooper. Although Six Flags keeps their investments relatively cheap, I think that with the help of Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, a large-scale S&S is a high possibility. America's Coaster would obviously be installed at Six Flags Over Texas, which is right down the street from AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play in Arlington, Texas. Being at Over Texas is another reason why I think an S&S is likely, because Six Flags has worked with them frequently as of late. With their multitude of S&S 4D free spin coasters installed at numerous different Six Flags parks, as well as the installation of Max Force, an S&S air launch coaster at Six Flags Great America. Now we go back over to the actual Eastern United States, to the Empire State of New York, and their New York Football Giants. I think that a fitting name for this Giants coaster would be the Big Blue Wrecking Crew, named after the Giants defense of the 1980s. I think Big Blue Wrecking Crew would either be a Mock Rides Power Splash or a multi-launch. And for as much as it pains me to say this, I think the most logical park for it to be installed at would be my home park of Six Flags Great Adventure. Since this would be at Six Flags, a Power Splash is much more likely, as Aquaman Power Wave is currently being installed at Six Flags Over Texas. However, I think a cooler and better coaster concept in general, which would also be a better fit at the park, would be a Copperhead Strike style mock multi-launch coaster. But Six Flags has yet to install one like this, and a Power Splash would be a much smaller investment. Therefore, a mock Power Splash named Big Blue Wrecking Crew makes the most sense for Six Flags Great Adventure, which is only about an hour away from where the Giants play at MetLife Stadium. The final team of Episode 1 is the Washington, D.C. football team. Washington doesn't have a whole lot of nicknames. Heck, even their primary team name isn't a good one. So I went with their team colors, coupled with some alliteration, to create Burgundy Bullet. Burgundy Bullet would either be an Intamin or Mock Rides multi-launch coaster, and even though Six Flags America is less than 15 minutes away from FedEx Field, I chose to put this coaster at Kings Dominion in Virginia. I'll get more into why I didn't choose Six Flags America for location reasons in a later video, but as far as park fit and Cedar Fair trends, Burgundy Bullet makes a lot more sense at King's Dominion. I think this would be a great opportunity to replace Volcano. I don't think that a clone of Copperhead Strike would be a worthy replacement of Volcano, so I think that they should either go with a more intense mock or a more reliable Intimate. However, if Cedar Fair does decide to go with a clone of Copperhead Strike, I do still think it would fit the theme of Burgundy Bullet well. Plus, if King's Dominion went with a new Intamin multi-launch coaster for Burgundy Bullet, they would be in direct competition with Busch Gardens Williamsburg's new edition of Pantheon. So there you have it. Those are my NFC East coaster concepts. Mean Green Flying Machine at either Hershey or Dorney, America's Coaster at Six Flags Over Texas, Big Blue Wrecking Crew at Six Flags Great Adventure, and Burgundy Bullet at King's Dominion are my first 4 choices for this new series. I plan on creating coaster concepts for not only every NFL team, but also every major pro sports team in the US, so stay tuned for those videos in the future. As always, leave a like on this video, subscribe to Coaster Jawn, and comment down below what you think of these coaster concepts. Thanks so much for watching, and ride on!